Good evening all of you. Welcome back to the Alchemy IAS Mains UPSC 2024 Analysis and Discussion live session. In the previous session, we have covered discussion with respect to the essay paper. I hope I am clearly audible to you. I am checking the audio. I hope that now it's fine. So previously we have covered the discussion related to the essay paper. Then we have covered detailed discussion on the General Studies paper 2, that is paper 3. So now in today's session we will cover remaining UPSC mains papers like paper 2 and paper 5. Paper 2 is our General Studies paper 1 consisting of history, world history, then Indian society, geography. These syllabus will be coming under the General Studies paper 1, that is the paper 2. So today we will focus discussion on the paper 2 and also the paper 5, that is our ethics paper, GS4, General Studies paper 4. So I will start with the General Studies paper 4, that is paper 5, and after my session our Kavita ma'am will come and discuss regarding the paper 2, that is General Studies paper 1. So we will start from the ethics paper. What were the questions that UPSC asked this year, the mains 2024, that was recently held. So we will go through this question and we will understand the trends of the UPSC mains questions, and we will also understand how we can approach, what strategy that we can adopt for preparing the ethics paper, and how we can solve, how we can write an answer to the ethics paper including the case study. So this is an area that I will give you throughout these sessions. So through that you will understand the trend and you can understand how UPSC can ask a question in our ethics paper and what way the case study can be expected in our ethics paper. So we will start from the syllabus of ethics paper. Before we go through the questions of the 2024, first I will give you a brief idea regarding how many questions that we can expect in ethics paper. Normally in General Studies paper 1, 2, 3, whenever you are referred to this question, you can see total number of questions will be 20, and some questions they will ask, we have to write an answer within 150 words, that will carry 10 mark. Another type of questions that we have to write an answer within 250 words, that will carry 15 mark each. So previously we discussed regarding General Studies paper 2, that is paper 3 of the UPSC mains examination 2024, where we have seen that 10 questions was asked with respect to, we have to write it in 150 word, and other 10 question was we have to write within 250 words. So that's a way that the questions are asked in GS1, GS2, GS3. But when we come to the General Studies paper 4, this paper is an ethics paper that has two aspects. One is we will study certain module which are theoretical, which are a concepts related to the ethics, that is in public administration, in personal life, in professional life, we have to follow certain ethical code of conduct, the basics concepts related to ethics like morality, attitude, aptitude, integrity. So these are the modules that we have in ethics theories. From these ethics theories that you can expect every year in UPSC as per the previous year's questions based on this analysis. So we can say that around 13 questions are asked with respect to ethics theory. So ethics paper in mains examination will be segregated into two, section A and section B. Section A mostly will be consisting of the ethics theory questions. Total number of questions will be, we have to write in this paper is 13 theory questions. Then this paper also including the case studies, that is practical approach to the ethics, the theory concepts that we studied, the values, etc., including the ethics in public administration, the theories that we studied in this paper. Then there are case studies will be given. These are issues with respect to certain context. They will give you a case and we have to solve that questions with reference to the particular syllabus, including identifying the ethical issues involved in it, how as a public officer, as a personnel, as a person working in the maybe private sector, how we can solve that issue, and some problem will be given. Based on this case study, we will try to write an answers that is an an answer that we are giving a problem, a solution to that problem which was mentioned in this ethics case study. In ethics case study section, we can expect 6 questions every year. So, total 13 answers that we will write with respect to the ethical theories, concepts, then remaining 6 questions that we will write an answer to these case studies, which are 6, total is 19 answers. That means 19 questions will be there in our ethics paper. The theoretical aspects, the 13 questions will carry 10 mark each, then these case studies, that is 6 case studies, will carry 20 mark. So, total mark of the general studies paper 4, that is paper 5 of UPSC Mains examination, ethics paper, the total mark is 250. This paper is also subjective, depending upon the candidate and aspirant who wrote this answer, who wrote this examination, depending upon that personal like approach, the thought, values, idea regarding the ethics theories, and the way that the person is writing this answer, that will vary. The mark that the person is got will be vary from one to another. So, this is again subjective. If you were able to get a good score, that will help you in scoring better in the mains examination, that will help you in achieving a better rank in this examination. For that reason, that most of the toppers prioritize, especially with respect to mains preparation, they will prioritize ethics paper. They will invest specific time for preparing the ethics paper. So, they will study each of these theories, each of these modules. So, we have ethics sessions, and our new ethics session will start soon in this coming October, from 8th October onwards. If you are really interested to join that class, you can join this course separately, specifically for ethics classes. So, again coming back to the concepts, here we will study regarding what is ethics, how ethics is different with respect to morality, values, then certain theories that we will study related to what is attitude, what is aptitude, then certain values that we should impart in public service like integrity, accountability, transparency, that is ethics in public governance, probity in governance. So, then we have separate module also, there is moral philosophers, the thinkers and their contribution, what are their ideas that we can impart in our public administration, in our professional life, in our personal life, these values, ethics that we can follow. So, these are the areas that we will study in our ethics theory paper, ethics dimensions. So, these are the area that we will study in our ethics paper. Then we will also practice previous year questions which already they have asked. They have given many case studies. We will also solve some model case studies to improve our answer writing skill in ethical case study, and we will guide you how we can write an answer to the ethics case study. So, this is an idea that related to ethics paper. This is our ethics paper. We will have 2 parts. One part is specifically related to question related to ethical theories, and another part specifically they will be they will give you some case studies, and we have to write an answer to that. So, 6 questions will be asked in case study part, and total of 13 questions will be asked in theory part. So, we will start from the UPSC this year questions in theoretical aspects. In section A, you can see the pattern of the questions. This is the trend that they follow in recent times, recent years. So, in section A, they mention that the question number 1, and this question number 1 consisting of 2 A and B 2 questions. So, we have to write each questions which is mandatory. In question number 1, which is including question that is subclause A and subclause B. So, question number 1A, they have asked related to application of artificial intelligence. Application of artificial intelligence as a dependable source of input for administrative rational decision making is a debatable issue. Critically examine the statement from ethical point of view. So, artificial intelligence, issues related to artificial intelligence, these are connected to the technology, science and technology, cyber security and other areas that we will study in our general studies paper 3 and in terms of governance in general studies paper 2 as well. But here this question was asked in ethics paper, that means that we do not have to write an answer in a general studies paper 2 or 3 perspective or governance perspective or cyber security perspective, rather this is expected to write in ethical perspective. So, the question is that the application of the AI, So, in terms of normal answer, we will give some like what are the application of AI, the advantage and disadvantage. But here we have to refer any point that we are writing in this case, we have to write that in ethical perspective. So, that is the difference between an ethics paper and with the other GS papers. I will give you a detailed analysis of the question number 1. There is another question in the section A, question number 1, there is B also, we will come to that later. We will start from the first question. So, this question what is exactly mean by in this question? So, they are asking that the application of AI which is that we are using in administrative perspective, maybe in private or sector or public sector. What are its rationale behind it using this AI application? Is there any issues whenever we use the AI application in our public service or professional service? So, we have to take some input here, we have to use some ethical perspective here, which are how this application of AI in our administrative perspective may resulting into bias, how this will ensure accountability, how this will ensure transparency. So, these are the ethical perspective that we can write an answer by referring to the some concepts like bias, accountability, transparency. Will this resulting into a biased approach if you use AI? Will this resulting into accountability? Can ensure the transparency in that public administrations or professional private administration? That is what is important in case of ethics answer. So, for example, in 2018 there was a case study, it was discussed in the news also, there was many articles also recently discussed in the news with respect to uses of or application of the AI, how this can resulting into bias and discrimination. In 2018, Amazon, this e-commerce platform, has used the algorithm based AI application for hiring new job to this company. But this AI algorithm which was given training based on the previous data, previous resumes. So, based on the previous data, this AI was trained when it was hiring people to this Amazon company, then it preferred only male candidate instead of the female candidate. So, this AI technology, AI algorithm without having any human interference, this had resulted into a biased approach in recruitment that resulted into discrimination, a gender discrimination in 2018 was much discussed in the news. So, it can be related to that. It's the same example that we can give in the particular answer. So, structure of this answer in ethics perspective, like the essay paper, in general studies paper 2 also have discussed the structure that we can follow, writing an answer in essay, writing an answer in case of general studies paper 2. Similar way, I am giving a structure here, how we can write an answer in an ethics paper. I will not discuss in detail regarding all these questions, but some question we can discuss and understand how and what approach that we can adopt for writing an answer in ethics paper. So, whenever any questions are asked, you can start with an introduction by giving a brief like definition of the statement, explanation of the statements and its relevance in the case of the uses of application and its role in decision making. So, that we can introduce, that we can write as an introduction in our answer in ethics paper. Then in our body part, what is more important, that you have to take the ethical perspective, we have to take some point which are related to ethics concepts, where for example, how uses of this AI or application of AI will resulting into bias, where you can give an example of, I told you, these Amazon incidents. You can also give other example which I have mentioned here. If police is going to make some criminal profile, if they are using AI without any human interference, then it will use maybe the previous old data. With that data, it may prioritize or it may only target the marginalized community rather than having a rational based or logical based decision making. So, this can resulting into again discrimination in that context. So, by using this example, you can talk about how this can ensure, how this will resulting into bias, how this can ensure accountability, the challenges related to ensure accountability, how this can ensure a transparency. So, that way that we can highlight our point in our ethics paper. So, here is important, the evaluator, the examiner will evaluate your answer and what way you were able to write this answer by referring to the ethical theories, ethical concepts. That is why you have to study each of these concepts. Whenever you study ethics, the ethics paper, you have to explore more examples, for each concept, and this example you will get it from the our day-to-day life, you will get it from the newspaper. So, by following current affair, we can explore a lot more example at the local level, at the national level, at the international level, and different dimensions also. By using this example, we can improve our answer writing in ethics paper. Then some example I have given, then you can finally conclude your answer, the importance of this ethical framework regarding the application of the AI. With that you can conclude the answer. So, this is just a structure, the PPT will be shared to you, so you can refer to this content. The next question in the section A, question number 1, that is B. The question was, ethics encompass several key dimensions. So, this question is related to the dimensions of ethics. So, ethics encompass several key dimensions that are very crucial in guiding individual and organization towards morally responsible behavior. How ethical principle and its dimension will guide our individual and organizational behavior. Explain the key dimensions of ethics. So, we have to explain the key dimensions of ethics that influence human action. So, we have to give some example of the human actions, how these we have to explore with the dimension, how this will guide us in our actions. Discuss how these dimensions shape ethical decision making in our professional context. So, particularly we have to refer to the professional context, we have to write an answer within 150 words and 10 marks. So, ethical concept which include here the values like integrity, ethical values like integrity, responsibility, fairness, respects. So, these are just an example, we can use these values, ethical values, dimensions. We can give an example, with giving a certain example we can write an answer in a better way. For example, I am giving you another example here, the structure that we can follow for writing an answer in ethics paper for this particular question, question number 1B. So, anyway, any answer in our mains examination, it will be good with an introduction where you can give a brief overview of the importance of ethics that will guide our behavior as a person, as an individual, and similarly for an organization in our professional context. So, the importance of this ethics, how this will guide in taking a good decisions. Then the dimensions that we can explore in this case are the values like integrity. What is integrity? That is, integrity means upholding the honesty and strong moral principles, will not be corrupted, will ensure that will not do any actions that has a larger negative implication, and will ensure an integrity and honesty, that is, even nobody is watching, will not do anything wrong. We maintain that integrity in our actions. So, integrity value, for example, here I have given in the example in case of sports sector. So, most of the example here I have given is particularly in the case of sports sector. For example, a famous athlete, very popular famous athlete, and they admitting, because in case of a sports they were being used this kind of doping. If any famous popular athletes who admit the doping, which is a violation, if they admitted the committing violation of the sports laws, sports governance by using this doping, then that means they prioritize the success than the things which they did wrong, which they maintain integrity. Because of maintaining the value of integrity, any sports personality, if they admitting that they have used this doping, that is, they are prioritizing honesty over the success, can be an example. Responsibility, another example I have given here, being accountable to our own actions. So, a cricket team addressing the player misconduct transparently, showing accountability. If anyone has done anything wrong that affect the team entirely, then they are exposing, they are disclosing and they are addressing that issue properly. So, they are ensuring that their accountability, maybe the persons, maybe the player will be suspended for committing an actions that affected the entire team. Similarly, the fairness, in this in sports sector we can say a basketball league, they are implementing a strict policy to ensure that nobody will be discriminated. Maybe their gender, maybe because of their color, nobody will be discriminated, ensuring equal opportunity for all players. So, fairness will be maintained in their recruitments. Respects, if any player is facing any mental health issues, then for entire team, for their well-being, if the football or maybe a soccer club, if they are introducing some initiative for the welfare of a person, welfare of the sports personality, then some mental health initiative for the player, that value their well-being entirely, which we give a respect, a dignity to the persons who are part of the team. So, these examples that you can give, not only necessarily it can be only one sector, you can explore with a different sector, it can be companies, it can be government office, it can be environment, different aspect you can explore these dimensions. With these dimensions you can explore, then you can use these ethical values to substantiate your answer. Finally, you can conclude your answer, the significance of these dimensions that can foster our responsible, morally responsible environment in our professional context. So, this way that we can write an answer. For those who are new to the ethics, you will find very difficult in understanding these values. So, in ethics paper, it is primarily mean by we have to study initially with the theoretical aspects, we will study each of these concepts. What is ethics first, what is right, what is wrong, what is morality, what is values, what are attitude and aptitude, how these values, morality will determine and our actions. So, these are the things that we will study in detail in our ethics paper. If you studied that in a good manner, understanding the definition, understanding the context and different dimension and determinants, then if you have good examples, with that example you can use in our mains answers. Then coming to the next question, second question. So, second question is also consisting of two options, question number, that is two questions, that is A and B. So, we have to write an answer to the both. One is, we will just go through this question. Question number 2A, it is not enough to talk about peace. It is not enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it, and it is not enough to believe in it. One must act upon it. A code has been given, a statement has been given. In the present context, the major weapon industries of the developed nations are adversely influencing continuation of number of war for their own self-interest. All around the world, what are the ethical considerations? Again, I am reading the question number 2A. It is not enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it, and it is not enough to believe in it. One must act upon it. In the present context, the major weapon industries of the developed nations are adversely influencing the continuation of the number of the war for their own self-interest all around the world. What are the ethical considerations the powerful nations in today's international arena to stop this continuation of the ongoing conflicts? It is related to question that where some countries, developed countries, industrialized, the capitalized countries, where they are involving arms trades, especially whenever there is a conflict, they will supply these arms to these countries, and that rather than focusing on the peace, settle in the disputes, rather than focusing on that, rather than prioritizing the peace in that particular issue, rather they will take it as an opportunity to make profit out of these conflicts, and that will help them, this country, to be more developed by involving in the arms trading. So, that is an international ethics, that how these countries are responsible. So, that perspective is asked in this year UPSC Mains ethics paper in 2024. That was the question they have asked in this case. Another one was connecting to the environmental ethics, climate change. The global warming and climate change are outcome of human greed in the name of developments, indicating that the directions in which extinction of the organisms, including human beings, is heading towards loss of life on the earth. How do you put an end to this, protect life and bring equilibrium between the society and the environment? So, second question in this year B, that is related to the environmental ethics. So, these are the dimensions that we will study, the different aspects of the ethics that we will study in our paper. So, I am giving some explanation to this. So, this question particularly in 2A that they have asked related to the powerful nations which they must consider their ethical responsibility to promote peace rather than making profit through these conflicts. The ethical aspects here including some humanitarian aspects that we have to prioritize rather than war, the responsibility a country that should have in terms of its foreign policy and its involvement in restoring the peace in that region. Similarly, the justice has to be guaranteed and ensured, fair and justice. So, for example, Russia-Ukraine conflict, Israel-Palestine conflicts, North Korea, Southeast China issues, the South China disputes. So, if any countries like using this in these particular conflicts for their own profit making motives, that is not a good action that they are doing. So, they have to follow certain ethical values in the international scenario. So, we can use these ethical values in our answers, ethical principles in our answers, concepts in our answers, to explore this with giving some example, recent example. In the context of Russia, Ukraine can be mentioned, and the role of India, especially India had sent many peace resolution, peacekeeping missions to restore the peace, and India stand on Russia Ukraine conflict also, which are good decision that India has taken. So, this is a way that by using the recent example we can substantiate our answer. The second one was related to global warming and climate change, the environment responsibility towards protecting our environment, that ethical dimensions, that we have environmental ethics and we study in our ethics paper. So, this was related to that. Ethical responsibility lies the balancing. Yes, we have to develop, we have to prioritize economic development, we have to use resources, we have to take some land for maybe for constructing the building, for industrial, for maybe some other purpose for the economic growth of the nations, but we have to balance how we are using this environment and resources. If you are not following the sustainable method, then we will face that consequence and it will be larger consequences. So, ethical responsibility involving in this context is how we can balance the economic growth by following that sustainable development goals and with the environmental stewardship, sustainability. So, ethical concept involved mainly related to that environmental ethics, sustainability, then stewardship and intergenerational justice, that whatever the resource that we are using, we should also think about our future generation, and they may have, that is whatever the resource that we are using, the same resources will be left for our future generations. So, we are not overutilizing these resources, we are not degrading the forest. So, these principles we can, this example, by referring to that example, by highlighting these ethical aspects, environmental ethics, by exploring those dimensions, we can give an answer to these questions. So, in similar way that India had initiative like our Green India mission, similarly national climate commitment that we have, and India is also part of these scope summits where we have many pledge to achieve our target, to achieve the sustainable development goals. By referring to this, we can connect it to the ethics paper, we can write an answer in a better way. Question number 3. This question number 3, they have given some quote which we will study these philosophers. There is a separate module in ethics paper, that is moral philosophers, moral thinkers. So, when we study this moral philosophy in ethics paper, we will also study regarding the contribution, the quotes of the famous personality like Swami Vivekananda, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and here they have given a questions related to a quote of Immanuel Kant. So, in this question they have given 3 questions, question number 3, in question number 3 there are 3 questions and they have given a quote with by referring to this quote we have to convey. So, what is the relevance of this quote in our present context? The relevance of their statement in our present context, we have to substantiate our answers with reference to these statements. We can go through these questions. It's another pattern that usually that every year UPSC asked. That is A, learn everything that is good from others, but bring it in and in your own way absorb it, do not become others. So, uniqueness. So, whenever we have any idea, maybe sometime we have studied a science, maybe we studied some technology science maybe from abroad and western countries, and after completing this graduation and this degree and with that knowledge, if you are coming to India, then we should have some creative ideas, new innovative ideas. With this new innovative idea, if any problem that we are facing at the local level in India, by adopting some local like concepts, local lifestyles, local issues, by identifying the local issues, how we can explore the merging of or blending of this new technology and our traditional issues and the people that we have at the local area, how we can solve their problem. For example, especially in rural area, people are facing the problem of shortage of water, then regular supply of electricity. How we can address this problem by coming up with, for example, a water ATM initiative that already was there in rural society. Similar way, if we can explore more solution to this problem, especially in rural agriculture, explore related to solar powered cold storage system that will help especially farmers to storage these resources, So, this innovative idea that we can adopt within a creative way in our own way, so that different dimension, different example can be given in this to this answer to substantiate in our present context the relevance of this quote of Swami Vivekananda. Next was the quote of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, faith is of no avail in the absence of strength. Faith and the strength both are essential to accomplish any great work. Again the similar way we can explore many examples. So, we will go through these questions. So, first things that we have explained. The second one is the quote of the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel related to faith and strength. The Patel quote that underscore the necessity, we will go through this meaning of this question, necessity that is combining belief with action. We have to believe what we are doing. So, trust with that actions and resilience, the faith without action that lead stagnations. If you have designed any program, if you are not believing in that outcome of that program or policy, then there is no point of having this policy. So, whenever we are designing a policy, for example, national education policy, our intention should be to address the problems in education sector which should be accessible to everyone, affordable to everyone, and we must ensure it is maintaining a quality in providing education. So, what are the way that we can design the policy? So, we have to believe in that action, the designing of the policy, that there is an outcome that can change and transform the society. So, in terms of governance and designing policy, we can give an example. So, in faith and without actions that will result in stagnation, individual must harness their own conviction to drive meaningful change in the society. In India, this can manifest social activism. So, here the values involved, the ethical concept that involved in this question, we can write about actions, the strengths, the commitment that we have. It can be public service, it can be professional life, any private sector, it can be personal life. So, with that example we can write our answer. For example, LGBTQ community's rights. With this involvement of the LGBT community and their agitation and protest, they finally agitated for the decriminalization of section 377, which discriminated mainly these gender as based on the gender or sexual orientation. These community were discriminated. Later with interpretation judiciary, and the case was approached and case was filed in court, and finally the court judgment with that resulted into decriminalization of 370s. That is a legal perspective, the judicial activism that the people were part of. So, through this campaign finally now we recognize, and mostly our value system is also changing, our attitude towards the LGBT community is also changing after the judgments. Now, we were able to understand the issues related to that. We are understanding this community and we understand their problem now. So, this change had happened into our society. So, many other examples can be given to substantiate our answer in this context. Now, another questions that they have asked in this question number 3 C is related law versus ethics. So, this way that we will study in our ethics paper, law versus ethics, morality versus ethics, values versus morality. Then similar other ways that we will study these comparison between the ethics with respect to morality, laws and values. Based on that, they have asked a question. In law, you can read this question. In law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of the others. In ethics case, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. So, that is very popular quote. We will study in our ethics paper, especially whenever we are studying the reference to the comparison between law and ethics. So, this example, this quote we have already took in our sessions in our UPSC batch related to that. So, this was related to that questions. We have to write it in 150 words referring to the quote of Immanuel Kant. Especially we have to understand here, we have to study aspects of what is actually law and what is actually ethics, how law and ethics is different from one to another. Law means these are set of rules. If anyone violate that law, then they will be punished according to that law. But ethics means even if we are, for example, even if we are like doing something, we will be feeling guilt of doing that thing. So, this is in a different perspective, that not only on violating that ethics, like violating a particular actions, then even doing so that we will feel some kind of guilt in case of ethics paper. So, this is the difference between that we will study in our ethics paper, the laws and ethics. So, the Kant distinction is highlighting that ethical violating others' rights, while ethical guilt encompass intention and the thought, and this emphasizes for the need for moral integrity alongside the legal compliance relevant in the context of corporate governance in India. So, that they were expected to write an answer to these questions. So, the ethics concepts, the principle that will be involved in this question, which can be referred as like moral responsibility, the intention of our actions, whether the action is right or wrong. So, it may have a different dimensions depending upon the circumstances, depending upon the context, the right and wrong can be changed. So, that is how we have to write an answer to this question. Example, for example, pharmaceutical companies in India, some example have been given here. Pharmaceutical companies in India legally set drug prices based on market rules. However, ethical issues occur when they charge higher prices for essential medicines. So, we have many essential medicines. Sometimes these drug companies, these pharmaceutical companies charge higher prices on these essential medicines because there is a high demand. Making them unaffordable for low income patients will have an indirectly in some other consequences. So, this is a conflict that we can see in case of the difference between law and ethics. In case of following the law, they are fixing the price according to the market because of the higher demand, high demand is there. So, when demand is increasing and there is a lesser supply, then according to the market trends, they will usually increase the price of that medicine, especially even including essential medicine, but indirectly it can affect the patients who are coming from a low income background. So, this is an example with that health sector, you can explore, through that you can answer to that question. Question number 4 consisting of 2 questions A and B. A, we will go through in detail. Question number A, question number 4A, the concept of just and unjust is contextual. What was just a year back may turn out to be unjust in today's context. Changing context should be constantly under scrutiny to prevent miscarriage of justice. Examine the above statement with suitable examples. Again, with an example we can have to substantiate an answer. So, here given an example, that is Supreme Court very recently ruled that the decriminalization of section 377, it was previously coming under Indian Penal Code. Currently, we have changed the name of the Indian Penal Code, the Uniform Criminal Code, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. In the previous IPC, we had a section 377 that was criminalizing same-sex relationship. But now, with this intervention of the judiciary, now this has affected the fundamental right and later it declared as unconstitutional. So, that with the application of doctrine of eclipse, with resulting the judicial intervention decriminalization 377, now this law that we had earlier treated as they are considered as a rape and sexual offence, now with this decriminalization of section 377, this is not a crime in India now. So, previously it was a crime. Now, with the judgment of the Supreme Court, in this case LGBT rights, they recognize the right of this community. Now, it is not a crime because the justice has been guaranteed to the intervention of judiciary, but for the past years since British period, because of these IPC even enacted by the British criminalized these same-sex relations. Later with the interventions, then we referred and examined the constitutional violations in this case. With the intervention judiciary, we understood the miscarriage of this and violation of this just an unjust practice. So, previously it was justice according to that law which was had there that time. Now, with the current law, now we understood that this is a mistake, it is a wrong that we are doing. It is a injustice, unjust that we have done to this community. So, now this is an example that we can give to substantiate our answer. You can also explore other more examples. So, because of time and context, the things can be changed. Even in some West Asian countries also now recognizing the right of the LGBT communities, transgenders. Even very recently we recognized the another gender, the transgenders, very recently that. So, in the context when the time changed, and sometimes it was previously was just, but now it is unjust. So, with an example we can substantiate our answer to that. Question number 4b, the mindless addiction to form, ignoring substances of the matter results in rendering of injustice. A perceptive civil servant is one who ignores such littleness and carries out true intent. Examine the above statements with a suitable illustration. So, most of the question you can see that they are expected to write the answer with the relevant example. With these relevant example, we have to include some ethical concepts, ethical values in our answers since it is an ethics paper. then we have to substantiate our answers. So, that is the reason that whenever you study ethics, please explore more example, especially recent and very relevant example to that we can use it in our answers. The statement emphasizes that the importance of focusing on underlining intent of the policy rather than merely following the procedure norms. There are some procedure has been provided. India according to constitution also provided the principle procedure established by law. We have to follow that procedure, then only the law, the action will be valid according to the law, and the law has been provided a procedure and we have to follow that procedure. Sometimes if you are following the procedure, then it may resulting into the, because the intention of the program, for example schemes, some pension scheme we have launched. For example, any pension scheme has been launched by the government and we are the person responsible in the public service office and we have to deliver this public service. Then finally, first initially we will identify the beneficiaries because of some document which they have not submitted. Maybe they may have it, but they forgot, or maybe they were unable to find this document. So, without again investigating, without having these compassions and understanding the intention of the program, the intention of the program means that it has to address the need of the beneficiaries, maybe a senior citizens. So, this is a pension scheme that we are granted to the senior citizens only by because of they were not able to submit maybe the beneficiary documents to identify the beneficiary. If we are denying the service to that person, the real intention of the program is undermines. So, for that reason, sometime when we are doing some actions, maybe we are implementing some welfare scheme, a bureaucrat, if they are following rigidity in their actions, sometimes they will deny a right of a beneficiary under the scheme. So, for that reason we have to ensure everyone welfare, everybody getting the benefit, the actual intention of this program is met. For that reason, sometimes we have to like look at these minor mistakes. If there is a possibility that if any document is missed, can we apply again for getting that document, and we can consult to the concerned department. Through that the person will get that document and the document can be integrated to the scheme. Then we can ensure that the service delivery is accessible to this person and the beneficiary got the services through these schemes. So, this way sometime we will act. So, then we ensure justice in its public delivery. That way we can write our answer to this question. Next, question number 5, again consisting of 2 questions. Question number 5a, the code of conduct and code of ethics. So, this code of conduct, code of ethics is an important module that we will study in our ethics paper. So, that is a comprehensive code of ethics in India. That is a question, first we will read the question. The code of conduct and code of ethics are sources of guidance. A set of guidelines will be given. We have to follow that code, especially in our public administrations. There is a code of conduct already in operation, whereas code of ethics is not yet put in place. Suggest suitable model for code of ethics to maintain values like integrity, probity and transparency in our governance. That was asked direct questions based on the ethics in our public service, probity in governance. It's from that topic that we will study in our ethics paper. So, a comprehensive code of ethics in Indian public administration should include principles like following integrity, transparency and accountability and suspense. The citizens such framework guide the public official in their conduct, enhancing trust in governance. If you are doing some service to the public, especially finally we are delivering a service to the public, the people, the civilians, if they are happy and we are maintaining the transparency, they know that through the citizen charter and through the digital platform, we are also engaging this participation of the community, the citizens through this scheme. Then they will also get to know that okay, this delivery is in a better way and this is an effective way and there is no corruptions, and preventing and reducing the number of corruption incidents that we have seen in this case. So, through that we can ensure that the delivery of the public service is ensured like good governance. Then we are maintaining transparency, informed citizens, and all the actions of the governments, unless it is a security matter, which are informed to the public, and if anything is there, we have right to information, they can get the information data which are necessary. Then similar way, the integrity, if an officer is maintaining integrity even without any CCTVs, the officer in charge will be responsible to deliver the service without any favoritism, without for having any conflict of interest, without any bias. So, these values, if any officer is imparted, then that is the importance of following the code of ethics. So, ethical concepts include integrity, transparency, accountability. Every time you have to remember that in ethics answer we have to include these ethical values in our answer, then only we can fetch our mark. Example like establishing some ethics committee within our some governmental bodies that can ensure that the officers in charge, the persons in charge of this public service are following these ethical standards and preventing corruption. So, these incidents of corruption can be reduced, favoritism can be reduced, we can avoid conflict of interest in this case. Then fifth question B, we will read the question here. The soul of the new law, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Just before that I have mentioned regarding the new criminal law that we have Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, that is amended the previous IPCC, RPC, Indian Evidence Acts. So, this year they have asked a question with respect to that. So, the soul of new law Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is justice, equality, impartiality based on Indian culture and ethos. Discuss this in light of major shift from a doctrine of punishment to justice in the present judicial system. So, we have to write an answer in 150 words, that will carry 10 marks. So, here you should understand. So, this topic that we will study in our Indian polity and governance topic, governance syllabus. But the question that they have asked here in this year is in the general studies paper 4 ethics paper. So, we do not have to write an answer in GS2 paper perspective. In GS2 paper perspective, we will write in a direct answer like the change amendment are made to this new criminal law and what are the positive and negative implication. But this is an answer that we are writing in our ethics paper. So, we have to take, we have to use, we have to explore some ethical values, ethical principle, ethical concepts. By referring to this ethical concept, we have to explain the answer in a better way by using the example. So, a candidate and aspirant should know what are the major changes made through this Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Especially the question was with respect to the punishment that was prescribed. So, these are substantive law, IPC Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. This is a substantive law that is defining a crime and also prescribing in the punishments. The previous form of the punishment that we had in the IPC system was, the Indian Penal Code was that mostly going to the prison according to the crime, the nature of the crime the person has been committed. So, the person will be going into the jail term or including maybe sometime the compensation and fine. But now we are prioritizing rather than this kind of punishments, we are prioritizing the reformative approach. So, especially there are many committees supported for criminal justice reform that should be more reformative rather than more on punishments. So, in cases under the BNS we have seen some example like if a person has committed lesser heinous offences, then this person rather than going for a jail terms, this person can also will be punished for going some voluntary service. This is an example for voluntary service. So, community service. So, the punishment can be awarded in the form of community service as a penalty for minor offences under the BNS, which was included in the current BNS law under section 4 subclause F of BNS. Is a new reform, a new provision was included in the BNS that is prioritizing more reformative approach in our criminal justice system. So, we have to write this answer how this can ensure justice, how this can ensure equality and impartiality in dealing with our criminal justice systems. So, this can be explored with an example. We can write even an example by referring to the section. If you are remembering section 4 subclause way, you can mention, otherwise you can mention that the BNS had this new provision which is discussed in the news in multiple times. With that we can focus. So, BNS focus on justice. So, especially this new criminal law focus on justice, equality and impartiality that reflects the significant shift from the punitive measure that we had given in the earlier provision now to a retrospective restorative reformative justice. This approach emphasizes an ethical treatment and need for a legal system that grounded in cultural and ethical values of Indian society as an example. So, legal perspective this question was asked. Then question number 6, that is the last question in our theoretical aspects. Again it is consisting of 2 questions. 6a, that is related to Indian culture, Indian culture and value system. In Indian culture and value system, an equal opportunity has been provided irrespective of gender identity. The number of women in public service has been steadily increasing over the years. A statement has been given regarding the gender perspective. The number of women, female, the number of women in public service, they are steadily increasing in the recent years over the years. So, it is related to gender equality, gender perspective, gender ethics, examine the gender specific challenges faced by the female public servant and suggest the suitable measures to increase efficiency in discharging their duties and maintaining high standard of the probity. So, yes, whenever we recruit to the public service and we maintain equality of opportunity, and we have a fundamental right under Article 16, equality of public employments, equality of opportunity public employment under Article 16, there should not be any discrimination in terms of gender as well. So, whenever we have like female employees, that is female public servant is coming to this public office, then in the current context, if their mindset has been not changed, if their attitude towards another gender is not changed, then we have to train this person to act and to follow some gender neutral action. Gender sensitized issues should be, they should be aware about that areas. Then we have to ensure the treatment which they have got in the service is in equal manner, and there is a maintaining gender equality, gender neutrality. Then only the female workers in the public service, or it can be a professional service also, will be able to deliver and do the work in a proper way, in a professional way. For that reason, that based on that relevance of this topic, they have asked a question this year. That is, female public servant in India face challenges such as gender bias, especially in promotion. Sometimes the promotion is not granted to a female worker in that office, rather than it will be preferred to male. Even the attitude, even the person is in maybe gender is female, if they are the heading the team, sometimes the attitude of the male member in that office will not be in a correct ways. They are not having that kind of attitude and respect, because of the quality in the skills will not be respected, rather they have some biased approach towards the gender of that persons. Work life balance, sometimes these female employees, they may have to work in household work will be taken. So, they are taking two responsibility of handling the public office work, and similarly whenever they are in home, they are doing completely on the household work. So, how they are balance the work life and the safety concern, especially there are many women issues and sexual violence and other molestation case and even sexual violence happen in the workplace as well. So, the safety is also another concerns. The dignity is violated. So, these are the concerns that the female public servant in India are facing. So, addressing this issue through the mentorship program and gender sensitive training can enhance their effectiveness and integrity in public service. So, the ethical values that involved, ethical principles that involved in this question is gender equality, inclusivity, empowerment, training. So, with exploring this example and ethical values, we can write an answer better way to this question. Very interesting question, and it is relevant also in the contemporary world, especially in Indian context. Then another question in the 6, that is these are ethics in public service, probity in governance. Then the initiative of the government of India, Mission Karma Yogi, was asked in this year in ethics paper. Usually they ask these kind of questions in every year related to the values that we can impart in public service, the ethics that we have to follow. So, Mission Karma Yogi is aiming for maintaining a very high standard conduct and behavior to ensure efficiency for serving the citizen and in turn developing oneself. So, it will help the public and also the person who is delivering the service. How will these schemes empower the civil servant in enhancing productive efficiency and delivering the service at the grassroots level? So, this is an interesting question that they have asked. Mission Karma Yogi means mainly for the civil service persons and improving their civil service capacity to deliver public service effectively and engaging with the public and maintaining certain ethical values like integrity, accountability, transparency. How this can ensure the public service and how we can improve a work culture that was following a kind of values that can be imparted by a public servant. So, Mission Karma Yogi aims to empower male civil servant through the continuous learning and ethical behavior by fostering a culture of accountability and service. An initiative enhances capacity of the civil servant to deliver effective public services at the grassroots level. So, ethical concepts include empowerment, accountability, continuous improvements. So, even if you are just trained in the Labasana, never doesn't mean by you are fully fitted to do the public service. If any requirement, if there is any other requirement is there, then we again should be trained at our Labasana. If any other institutions where it can provide, the state can provide any capacity training to our civil servant to impart some ethical values, and it would improve the ethical behavior of the civil servant, then yes, it will definitely help in public service delivery. It can effectively implement the program, policy, design of the governments. So, that is what is relevant in this context in this case. So, these are the questions that they have asked in this year in the theoretical aspects. Now, coming to the case study question, I told you that in UPSC mains paper, in ethics paper, total number of questions in theoretical aspect will be 13 and case study question will be 6 case study question will be the total of 19 questions. So, 13 theoretical questions that we have discussed, question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Total 13 questions were there. So, all these 13 questions we have discussed. Now, coming to the case study question, before we go through the case study question, just to understand what are actually mean by this case study. First of all, these case studies will be given in our examination to test our understanding about the ethical values. That means, whenever you are reading this case study, whenever you are going to answer to this, write an answer to these case studies, we have to identify the ethical issues involved in that particular case, because it is testing our understanding about the ethical values, ethical knowledge. Then what way that we can solve, we can address that problem which they have given in this case study. So, some cases the knowledge that we can learn by going through the knowledge that we have in with respect to GS1, GS2, GS3, whatever the knowledge that we have of other GS paper, we can use it in our ethics paper. For example, in Indian polity, we will study the constitutional provision, fundamental right. If any case that involved violation of constitutional right, legal right, fundamental right, we can mention that in our answer. So, referring to that legal context, referring to the rules, regulations, if any schemes that was already introduced by the government to address a problem. For example, a case has been given in our case study, that is some person does not have a home. So, how we can provide a shelter to that concerned person in that case, a stakeholder in that case, then we have already initiated like Awas Yojana, PM Awas Yojana, Urban and Gramin. So, this welfare scheme, it can be MG Narega scheme, it can be Jan Dhan Yojana scheme, it can be Arogya Yojana scheme, any pension scheme. By referring to these schemes, we can also solve such a problems, integrating to the schemes. Then some issue, debate, IR related issues can be mentioned, economic policy, banking sector, any other aspects, the dimensions that we can also explore. Then what steps that we can follow in writing an answer for the case study. So, generally we follow some steps for the answer in the case study. First step is that these questions that they will ask in case study will be a lengthy questions, maybe 2-3 paragraph will be there, and after giving the entire story of an entire explanation of that case, they will ask question at the end. So, it is very difficult to understand the questions, the issues involved in this case, identifying the ethical issues will not be easier. So, we have to read the question carefully and we should have a clarity related to that question, what they are actually asking, what they are expected to solve. So, we have to read the question carefully, because it is a lengthiest question, but the mark that is carried for each case study is 20 mark, but there is a weightage even the time has been taken, but we have to practice for solving the case study before we are going for the final examination. Second step is that we have to identify, I told you that every case study will be involving some ethical issues, some moral issues, moral dilemma. So, we have to identify that. The person involved in that case, it can be woman, like the transgender, maybe senior citizen, maybe politicians, maybe an organization, maybe public office. So, that we have to identify the stakeholders involved in that case. If any laws are relevant to that case, we have to cite relevance. Law, it can be constitution, it can be ordinary law. Then we have to, the question may ask what action that we would take. Immediate action will be there, medium term action will be there, long term action will be there, what will be the consequences. The consequence of the action can be whatever the action that we take, it can be positive, it can be negative. So, we have to examine the positive consequences of the action that we take. If you are helping a person, what are the advantage, what are the positive, then what will be the negative. For example, when we are going for the interview, in that journey we witness an accident and we are only the person left there to help this person in that accident case. So, if you are going to help that person with our compassion and values of ethics, then the kindness, then this will in positive perspective it can save the life of a person. At the same time, negatively it will affect our career opportunity. So, any action that we take, it can be immediate, it can be long term. So, it may have a positive and negative effects. Then way forward, finally we can conclude our answer with a conclusion or a way forward. These are the steps that we can follow. Now, I am not going to discuss in detail regarding the case studies, but we can just go through, either I will try to discuss one or two case study to understand how we can solve. Though this is a case study question that they have asked in the year 2024, you can see that a long paragraph has been given. So, here they have given a company name. So, they have given an example of a company named as ABC. So, there is a technology company named ABC Incorporated, which is a second largest worldwide, situated in third world. You are the chief executive officer. So, we have to assume we are the chief executive officer. As a chief executive officer of the ABC company, so now they are giving a problem. So, going through these statements, when you read this entire paragraph, entire this case, you will understand a problem is there involved. Then after this, they are given the questions here. You can see that by reading the statement above, the case study above, the question that they are asked finally is, what is your immediate response to the challenge posed in the above case? There is a issue involved in this case. As a chief executive officer of the ABC company, they are developing AI technology, and by developing AI technology, this company is increased its carbon emissions. So, it is not following the sustainable practices in its approach, its conducting the business activities. So, even though they have many innovation, but their priority is mostly profitability rather than sustainability. So, it is a conflict between the profitability of this company and the sustainability it has to be followed. So, what is your immediate response to the challenge which they face, and discuss the ethical issues? You can see that just you understand what are the area, how they are asking questions in the ethical case study. So, what will be your immediate response? This is an action. I told you that actions that you will take, immediate action. Ethical issues, what are the ethical issues? So, we have to cite ethical issues which are involved in this case study. Your company has been identified penalized by technological gains. What logical and ethical argument will you put forward, convince about it necessary? Then being a consensus being, what measures would you adopt to maintain a balance between AI innovation and environment? The balance between ensuring AI innovation for this company and how we can maintain the balance between the AI innovation with the environment footprint of this company. So, these are the questions that they have asked at the end. So, mainly this case study is expected to write an answer to an issue where an ABC company is there, that they incorporated a scrutiny, or that is a 48% of rise in greenhouse gas emission due to its increased energy demand for the development of AI technology. As a CEO of this company, we have to ensure a balance between the profitability and the sustainability, and we have to follow some ethical obligations. The ethical issues involved in this case are, as a chief executive officer as a company, the ethical responsibility include mitigating the environmental impact while pursuing innovations and leading questions about the corporative accountability. So, this was the aspects they expected to write. So, this is structure that I am just giving an example how we can write. So, we can start every case study with an introduction explaining the case and the challenges involved, the ethical issues involved, which we can explain in a brief way. Then the immediate response, that was a first question they have asked in this case study. As a CEO, what will be our immediate actions? I would quickly assemble the team to evaluate the emission data. So, first we have to get a data, how much emission that we are having currently, and if it is increasing, if there is a rise, then we have to control it, we have to reduce it. And ethical issues involved, how the responsibility that can be minimized environmental harms. Also, we have to follow innovations, the argument for its necessity, balancing our measures. Finally, we can end our answer with a good conclusion. So, this is the way, the structure that you can follow. The detailed structure can be explained in our ethics sessions. So, with the short of time I cannot explain too much, already we have completed 1 hour of the ethics paper. So, just we will go through some other case studies of that they have asked in this year. 8th question you can see a case, in this case the name given as Raman, who is a senior IPS officer. So, some issue is mentioned, how we are solving the issue, and this is actually the case study. An issue will be given which involve some ethical issues, and maybe you are as a person representing CEO and IPS, but here Raman, who is an IPS officer, has to tackle this issue. So, what are the options available to Raman to tackle that issue? What measures you suggest for strengthening existing setup? In the above scenario, what action plan would you advise? So, this way the questions are asked. So, this question is related to Raman, who is an IPS officer, had identified that a recruitment of some agency, especially the unemployed youth, were recruited to the terrorist activities. So, security issue, it can be security issue. Ethics case study can be a case of disaster event, a case of cyber security, a case of this kind of security issues like terrorism, internal security issues. It can be failed to provide access to education, it can be a problem with respect to government welfare scheme, it can be you are a officer in a private company, issues related to manager and worker. So, these are the kind of case studies that they usually asked. So, these are another example, question number 9. Again you can see that a detailed and a lengthy paragraph has been given, a problem has been given, we have to solve that problem by following the question which they are expected to solve. What are the options available? Ethical dilemmas involved, ethical issues involved, especially you have to remember that we have to mention the ethical issues. Then 10th questions, this PDF will be available. The 10th question is again Sneha, a character has been given, is a senior manager working for a big reputed hospital. So, again regarding the an hospital case, and you are in charge of that, here the case has been given as a Sneha. What are the action? It involved the issues like conflict of interest. So, summary of the case has been given here. Hospital manager Sneha is tasked with procuring medical equipments. In this equipment, the person who is coming for the bid is one of her brother. So, since her brother is also part of these bids for the medical equipments for this hospital, she involves some ethical conflict, that is conflict of interest, favoritism, etc. So, if she will be part of in choosing and selecting these companies, seeing the persons for the bids, if she prefer her brother, in future she may face some consequence allegation, maybe for favoritism. So, that ethical issues involved in this case of conflict of interest and fairness. Then question number 11, the same other case studies, another case study was asked. A district collector and a district magistrate, a case has been given. It is related to amid severe water shortage, the district collector enforces water conservation measures. The farmer protests against the industrial water use. So, we have to balance the industrial interest and the farmer's interest in the context of shortage of water, supply of water. So, as a district collector and magistrate, what are the ethical issues that we will face and the issues we have to identify. Then finally, the 12th questions, another case study has been given here, who is a scientist, has to explore a new vaccine or new drug, but whenever we are going for conducting a trial for developing a medicine or maybe a drug or vaccine, we have to follow some ethical conduct. Mainly whenever we go for a test, before it going for the markets, we have to take the client's consent. Without following the consent and legal practice and the data, if you are manipulating, some ethical issues are involved. That was asked in the 12th question. So, you can see that the Dr. Srinivasan, under the pressure to expedite some clinical trial has to be conducted for a new drugs, faces unethical proposal, that is unethical proposal from the company itself, that is they are manipulating the data and skipping some consent of the to make it speed up to without consent of the clients and patients, without ensuring the patient's safety, the scientific integrity, some ethical issues are involved. So, he has to navigate this ethical minefield, carefully uphold the research standard. So, what are the ethical issues involved in this case, we have to explore. Some example has been given. So, for example, you can see that we can start with an introduction here explaining the case in a brief way. Then what will be the immediate response to the case. So, Dr. Srinivasan should firmly say that not to the unethical ideas, we cannot accept any unethical ideas. Then he must push for a clear and honest trial whenever we are conducting for a development of new drug and new medicine, new vaccines. The options available was asked in this question, option 1 and 2. Each option may have a consequences. So, whatever the options available and whatever the consequences are there, so we can illustrate. You can have a different dimension diagram also in your answer writing structure. So, manipulating data, the consequence will be there. Skipping informed consents, consequence will be there. Using patented the compounds, because already some company had a patent and we are using the compound patent. In that case also we will face some legal consequence later. Then the data and drug ethics. So, drug ethics we have to follow, mainly we have to get an informed consent of the person who are participating in the test. So, drug ethics we have to follow, we have to ensure patient safety, we have to get a data that is clear. By ensure data ethics help ensure that the trial result are correct and we are not manipulating that data. Finally, we can conclude our answer way forward. Through that we can give a better answer. This is just a structure that we can write our answer for the case studies. So, with that I am ending the ethics analysis for today. So, I hope you understood at least. It is a long session, we went through each questions. So, with the short of time we cannot explain in each question in detailed way. We just went through each question to understand the trend of the UPSC in ethics paper. So, we understood that they are asking question from the both part of theoretical aspect and case study. 13 question will be there from the ethics theoretical aspect, 6 case study question will be there. Each theoretical aspects carry 10 mark, we have to write in 150 words, and these case study, in each case study will have 20 mark. So, we have to write by following a structure. So, the structure has been discussed. I hope you understood that. We have a exclusive class and session and guidance for ethics paper, which will also help you to improve your answer writing in case study. Thank you all for watching this video. I am very happy that you are participated in the live sessions, even though it was a too lengthy session. Thank you all. Then the next session will be taken by our Kavita ma'am. I will hand over the session to Kavita ma'am. We can take a 2-minute break, then the ma'am will continue session. Thank you.
Okay. Am I audible? So, we will continue with paper 2 discussion. I hope you like the session with Faisal sir. Okay. Paper 2 discussion we will start and we will analyze it, that what kind of questions are coming and can we just discussion part also we will take care. So, we will be providing you the structure of the answer also. And one important thing is that after looking at the paper, can we predict the questions? Can we predict the question that might be coming? So, first of all, I would like to tell you that newspaper, it has again proven its significance. Newspaper reading is very crucial to get success in this examination. Looking at the geography paper also, we can see that the questions which are coming from the static part are somewhere related to the current affairs section. If we talk about cloudburst, if we talk about tropical cyclone, and in history also, if we talk about art and culture section, so many sites are there in news for full year, for 1 year, and whenever any site is in news, any art is in news, that becomes very important. We should always give importance to those things that are mentioned in the newspaper and they are again and again being mentioned. So that becomes very important, and we will see everything, every question. We will see that what is the source, right, and how can we predict if any phenomena is recurring again and again, then what we can do, right? We have to take care. And was there any correlation between the previous year paper and this year paper? Were the topics were getting, okay, 1 second. Yes, so this is the syllabus of paper 2, General Studies 1. What are the subjects? It deals with Indian heritage, culture, history and geography of the world and society. So from these questions, we will be dealing with the question that came from these areas. So this is the syllabus. You can pause the video and look at the syllabus. Now the first question. Very interesting kind of question and very simple also, right? We should have content ready with us whenever we are writing the mains examination. So content and then revision is the important step. First question is, underline the changes in the field of society and economy from the Rig Vedic to the later Vedic period. 10 marker question it is and 150 words. So what is the demand of the question? Very important thing that you have to write is what has been asked in the question, right? So what are the key points that we have to keep in mind? Underline the changes in the field of society and economy from the Rig Vedic to the later Vedic period. So Rig Vedic to later Vedic, we have seen many changes and it is talking about society and economy. So we have to restrict ourselves to societal changes and economic changes. What were the changes in society? So Rig Vedic society was what kind of society? Egalitarian kind of society. It was a rural economy. What were the changes in the later Vedic period? So later Vedic period is also known as the second urbanization, right? Second urbanization in the history. It was marked with second urbanization and coinage system started. People started using coins, gold coins, right? Okay, so these are the changes. Societal changes, if we look at the societal changes, social structure, right? It changed, transition from a simple tribal society to a more complex social hierarchy, right? So Varna system, caste system, and then position of women. Position of women was very strong in Rig Vedic society, and later Vedic period the position got decreased. They were not allowed to be a part of many assemblies. Vidhit, Sabha, education. What about education now? Education also changed. Oral tradition was followed in Rig Vedic times, and then in later Vedic times what happened? Formal education system started, and then gurukuls we see. Religion, from simple rituals to more complex rituals were started. Priestly dominance was started, right? Priestly dominance. So these are the changes in the society. And then economic changes are what? We faced. The later Vedic period faced second urbanization, one of the most important change. Then handicraft, tertiary activity, secondary activity, right? So there was increase in the secondary economic activity because of trade, large trade and commerce. And then agriculture, we see a shift in agriculture also. So first what we have to mention is about the Rig Vedic period, then and then later Vedic period. So what one major change that we see from Rig Vedic to later Vedic was that introduction of iron, right? Iron. And then what happened? It impacted trade and commerce, urbanization, land ownership and occupation. Occupations were also There were many occupation, but now what happened? Varna system was there. So there was no flexibility in occupation. So these are the changes that we had to write, and conclusion, what we can do is we can summarize the increasing complexity of society economy in the later Vedic period. Okay. Now, question number 2 is what? Estimate the contribution of Pallavas of Kanchi to the development of art and literature of South India. Estimate. We have to give an estimate. What all things? What all the contributions of Pallavas of Kanchi in the development of art and literature? So specifically, art and literature of South India. Pallavas have a very significant position if we talk about architecture art, because it started the art, temple architecture, Dravidian temple architecture started with Pallavas. They laid the foundation and it was enhanced by, it reached its zenith, Dravidian temple architecture, in the Chola period. So introduction, what we can give is Pallavas ruled from 6th to 9th century CE, and then their capital was Kanchipuram. So a brief introduction of the Pallavas, and we can start it by saying that they laid the foundation for Dravidian temple architecture. Next is what? Art, temple architecture, it was developed by them, and then we can give the example of rock cut temples in Mahabalipuram, stone temples, rock cut temples. Sculptural art examples also we can give, like descent of the Ganges, bas relief at Mahabalipuram, and then structural temple, first temple were made, and Kailashnath temple examples have to be given. So example, giving example will enhance your marks in the examination. It will fetch you good marks if you give proper example, and it should be done in every question, because then only you can have good score. Next is literature. So Sanskrit patronage was provided. So kings like Mahendravarman I and Narasimhavarman patronized Sanskrit literature. And then we can give the example of Dandin. Dandin, a famous Sanskrit writer, lived in their court. Tamil literature, so they supported Tamil language, Tamil script was also developed because of this, and then growth of Bhakti literature. Conclusion, we can say that because Dravidian temple architecture was started by these people, and then it led to a golden period in South India in later centuries, influencing future dynasties in South India. So this is how this question has to be written. And then question number 3 is, what were the events that led to the Quit India movement? Point out its results. So now, this year we have seen that there are many overlapping questions also. If we talk about world history, if we talk about modern India, so there are many overlapping topics. Industrial Revolution came, First World War. Now this question is related to Quit India movement. So what it is asking, what were the events that led to Quit India movement? So we have to tell about the events which led to QIM, and then point out its results. So it is asking about the background of the Quit India movement, then the events, we have to mention the events also, and then the result of the Quit India movement, right? So these are the events that led to the movement. Like there was this failure of Cripps mission. Before this there was August Offer was there, Linlithgow, right? World War II. So because Britain's involvement was there without consulting Indian leaders, this also led to the Quit India movement. Growing discontent was there among the people, among the Indian leaders against the Britishers. So rising frustration among Indian leaders regarding the colonial policies, colonial exploitation. British reverses in Southeast Asia. Why this feeling got emboldened against the Britishers? Because we saw that there were British reverses in Southeast Asia. So if we mention all these events, our answer will be very good. Growing demand for complete independence. So this was going on, and then these were the results. So there was this immediate result, and there was another long-term result, impact. So what is the immediate impact? So there were mass arrests. there was suppression of leaders. So basically Quit India movement was a leaderless movement. It is also called as a leaderless movement because many of the political leaders were behind the bars. Okay, and then violence by the British. Long term impact was that it emboldened the feeling of independence in the minds of Indians, right? Second thing, unified Indian masses. There was unity and paved the way for eventual independence, set the stage for post-war negotiation, emergence of underground leaders, many local leaders came in the front. So these are all the long-term impact, and then which later on led to the independence of India. So British realized that now ruling India will not be a dream, right? Ruling India will not be true for long. Okay, conclusion, though crushed, the movement fast tracked the goal of independence. So this was by this note we can conclude and symbolize a final push towards India's independence. So this is how you could have written a answer. Now, okay, so these first 3 questions were from history. Okay, so if we look at question GS paper 1, many questions came from Indian society, many questions, and then history, if we see 6 questions have come from history, and there are overlapping parts which I already told you that world history and modern India, overlapping parts are also there, and the rest are from geography. So geography direct questions have come, like this is also a direct question, but all these direct questions, they were regularly coming in the newspaper. These topics were coming in the newspaper one day or another day. So formation of tropical cyclone, because tropical cyclones, we have seen many cyclones, and there is a changing pattern also in the nature of cyclone, right? Because see, Bay of Bengal is there and Arabian Sea is there. Bay of Bengal is considered as the hotbed of tropical cyclones. But what we witnessed in 2023-24, that this Arabian Sea is also now a hotbed of tropical cyclones. Freddy cyclone was there, which is the longest lived cyclone. So changing pattern, that is why it becomes important. Climate change, right? So what is the question? What is sea surface temperature rise? Tropical cyclone, what temperature do we need? What is the sea surface temperature that we need in the formation of a cyclone? That also becomes important, one of the condition. Now, definition, it is asking what is a sea surface temperature rise, which means what? It is the sea surface of the temperature, sea surface temperature is rising, right? Then, introduction part, we can describe about this rise in the temperature of the ocean's upper layer. There are many factors which are leading to the rise of the sea surface in the ocean. Which are they? Climate change is there, global warming is there, and other factors are also there. Now, what will this sea surface temperature rise will do, or how it will affect the formation of the tropical cyclones? So see, what cyclone needs? Latent heat of condensation, right? Warmer air, and warmer air leads to what? More evaporation, warmer air, then more condensation, and then this will provide what? The perfect condition for the formation of cyclone. So effect on tropical cyclone. Cyclone formation, warmer sea surface temperature provide more energy. This warmer temperature is an energy for the cyclone, fueling their formation and intensity. So we have seen, because of the intensity, more intensification of cyclone, we have seen that there was this changing pattern in tropical cyclone, and we have witnessed the longest lived cyclone also in few years. So this was because of the intensification, because of the warmer sea surface temperature. Next is increased intensity. So higher temperature leads to stronger and more frequent cyclones. So this is also one of the reasons, and this is a concerning thing, right? Because more impact, cyclones have an impact, and if they are more intensified, so more impact will be there. Conclusion, part is there. So rising sea surface temperature due to climate change are making more tropical cyclones more destructive, and we have to take proper steps, proper initiatives, early warning system. So way forward we can tell, in conclusion we can say that more robust system we need, more early warning, good early warning system also we need. Now question number 5. Why do large cities tend to attract more migrants than smaller towns? Again, one of the overlapping questions, right? You can include this in geography also, human geography, and then society also. So why do large cities tend to attract more migrants than smaller towns? Discuss in the light of conditions in developing countries. Two parts are there, okay. So in introduction part we can say that urban migration is prevalent in developing countries. Why? Where large cities offer more opportunities. So because there are more opportunities in the large cities than the smaller towns, so urban migration is prevalent in developing countries. Now we have to discuss this thing in the light of conditions in developing countries. What are the conditions in developing countries? These are the conditions. These are the factors that are available in the developing countries which are leading to urban migration from small towns to small cities to smaller towns to large cities. Economic opportunities, better economic opportunities are there. Infrastructure of education, better healthcare is provided, social services are there, social network is there. So these factors attract the people from the small towns. And then challenges are also there. So challenges part, because we have to discuss, so challenges part also we can provide. Urban crowding being the one of the challenge, overburdened services and resource shortages. Conclusion. So in conclusion what we can say that cities are migration hubs due to better opportunities but face severe urban management and challenges. So in these kind of questions what we can do is we can put some data also, right? Many of the organization, many of the NGOs and other bodies, they do what? They do studies and then they release the data. So their data we can use it here so that we can substantiate our answer. We can give good example, and if we are providing good examples then our answer will be very good. Now next question, it is from geography. Again very direct question from the static part. What is the phenomena of cloud burst? So this cloud burst is in news since 2 years, and it has become, since not only 2 years, 2-3 years it has been news, and this year also 3-4 times it came in the newspaper, cloud burst, and the question has come. So reading newspaper and also referring to the static part is very, very important if you want to get success in the examination. Remember this thing. So cloud burst phenomena. What is the phenomena of cloud burst? Explain. So we have to tell about the mechanism, the definition of cloud burst. So what kind of definition are we providing? If we do not know, then we can write a generic kind of definition. But what will be the best definition? So it is here. See the definition, the criteria set by IMD. Okay, what is the criteria? Rain over 100 mm per hour is categorized as a cloud burst. Heavy rainfall can be classified as a cloud burst only if it fits the criteria set by IMD. Okay, now it is asking that explain the phenomena of cloud burst. So mechanism we have to tell. So convective clouds, these are formed due to high moisture vertical air currents. Then mountainous terrain, cloud bursts are common in the hilly areas, mountainous areas where air masses are forced upward, and then sudden downpour is there. Sudden, within an hour there is 100 mm of rainfall, right? So then it is tagged as what? Cloud burst. And there is a large scale damage also. So in Himachal Pradesh, in Uttarakhand, we have seen examples of cloud burst and then many of the projects being damaged, right? So this is why the topics, the current phenomena has become very, very important, and we should have the content ready with us, because in society also we have seen that women empowerment, right? If we see at the look at the topics that are coming in Indian society since past 10 years, the trend has been somewhere very similar. The topic has been similar, like women empowerment issue has been asked, women's suicide, why it is happening, this was asked. Again, one question from women has come. Okay, women empowerment it is asking about the gender inequality, gender equity and women empowerment. So if we have content ready, then UPSC will not be a tough task. Okay, conclusion. What we can provide in the conclusion, that cloudburst, though they are unpredictable, but they are becoming more common due to climate change and pose serious threats in vulnerable regions. And we have to emphasize the need, right, for robust planning, urban planning and sustainable infrastructure development strategies. So this is how we can write this answer. Next question is, what is the concept of demographic winter? Very interesting term, and I hope all of you understand the meaning of concept of demographic winter. It means that the fertility rate is declining, and see, this topic has also come from current affairs. Why? Because we have seen many reports, many articles were coming that Japan, South Korea, their fertility rate is continuously declining. South Korea has, tell me in the comment section that which country has the lowest fertility rate. Okay, has the lowest fertility rate. Okay, now India. So report also came about India, that whether its fertility rate is declining or increasing. So because of this reason, current affair becomes very, very important. And if this question has come, we should always give India example related to India, because examples are very, very important. And fertility rate of India is also declining. India is a developing nation, right? But this issue is more serious in developed countries and Western nations, right? So because of that reason, this question has come. So we have to tell the concept of demographic winter, and then is the world moving towards such a situation? Elaborate. So we have to give examples. We have to give example of the countries, and we have to tell whether it is moving towards this situation, towards this pattern. So what is the trend? So we will give proper answer. Now introducing it with demographic winter definition, it refers to a scenario where low birth rate leads to an aging population and workforce decline. So there will be more people who are aged, and there will be workforce decline, and then they will be doing what? They will be calling people from other nations, young people, right? Okay, now what is the current trend? So we see that in many countries fertility rate is decreasing, and whereas we also see that in African nation fertility rate is increasing, and in Niger we see that there is good fertility rate. Many of the African nations has good fertility rate. Now, many developed countries, Japan, parts of Europe, have birth rates below replacement level, and aging population is also there. Now, global movement. So this is a mixed trend. We cannot say that world is moving towards this demographic winter, because there is a mixed trend that we see. In African nation, the picture is completely opposite, and in India, and if we talk about the other nations, the picture is completely different. Okay, so this is how we will balance our answer, and then providing the conclusion part that demographic winter poses challenges, because it is not if demographic winter is there, then we will be out of the workforce, right? And because of that, many other challenges will be coming. So economy, social security system, they will all face problem. Okay, next question. Very interesting questions have come, and they are also repetitive kind of concept is there. Okay, question number 8. Distinguish between, see, read the question very carefully and answer those things only which are being asked in the question paper. Do not try to explain many things. Be clear, be concise. And then question is what? Distinguish between gender equality, gender equity and women empowerment. Women issue. Women topic every year is coming, so prepare yourself, prepare a good content for women empowerment. What is the role of women in 21st century? Like, these topics should be ready with us. Okay, So first part is saying what? Distinguish between. So we have to make a definition we have to provide, that how these three terms are different. So distinguish between these three terms, and then why is it important to take gender concerns into account in program design and implementation. So remember this thing, that it is asking about gender concerns. Second part is totally different. Gender concern, why is it important to take this thing into account while we are making any program or we are launching any program design and then implementation part? Because it will, then only we can realize the inclusive development, when we will consider every gender, not only male female but third gender also, transgender also. So if you would have mentioned, or if you will mention transgender people also, then your answer will be very different and different from the many of the people. Okay, so definition. Gender equality is what? Equal. Everyone is equal. Equal rights they have, equal responsibilities they have, opportunities for all gender are equal. But whereas gender equity is totally different thing. It is depending on what? Your needs and circumstances. So everyone's need is different. So according to that, we are making some initiatives, we are taking some policies so that we are fulfilling everyone's needs and demands, right? Their circumstances and meeting their needs. So this is gender equity, and it will be very good if you provide an example also, all the initiatives that are launched. So if we ask about the women initiative, gender equity example for women is what? We can give example of the self-help group created by women, right? And many other examples are there. Pilot schemes are there which are launched for women. This one drone, women drone scheme was in the news, farmer drone, so which included women also, okay, giving them education about the technology, including them. And then women empowerment definition we have to give, increasing the agency and decision making capacity of women. This is real empowerment. Now, why is it important, right? Why is it important to take gender concern into account in program design and implementation? Two parts we can provide, right? So program design, because addressing gender gap, then only we will be able to meet everyone's needs and demands, yes? So ensures that it is, because inclusive, Atma, we have a vision for 2047, right? Amrit Kal vision is there. For women, what is the vision? That they should also be empowered, right? Their development also we have to fulfill, okay? It is a part of sustainable development goal also, yes or no? So these kind of things we can provide in the answer, right? Ensures programs are inclusive and meet the specific need of the women and marginalized gender, other genders also. One second. Now, social development. For social development also it is very important. Empowers women, so improving societal progress and economic growth. Now, conclusion part, integrating gender concerns creates more effective and equitable policies, and it caters to everyone's need, and then only we can realize the inclusive growth, inclusive development kind of vision, right, which India is seeking. Okay, now question number 9, intercaste marriages between caste which have socio-economic parity have increased. Okay, so it is saying that, it is giving us a fact that intercaste marriages between caste which have socio-economic parities, they have increased to some extent, okay, but this is less true of inter-religious marriages. We have to discuss why it is different, okay, what are the factors that are contributing to increase in intercaste marriages and that are leading to decrease in interreligious marriages. So, introduction part, intercaste marriages in India are rising but largely limited to those similar socio-economic status. So, caste marriage is rising, but it is limited to this socio-economic status which have socio-economic parity is there, okay. There only we see that there is a rise in intercaste marriage. Now, factors are what? Because of the socio-economic parity, because of the same kind of environment, same kind of tradition, practices, right? So this reduces the barriers and resistance to intercaste union, whereas when we are talking about inter-religious marriages, what happens is there are barriers, there is a culture shock, right? Challenges are there, higher cultural, religious and familial opposition, because India, when we have this marriage, there are two families who unite, yes. So familial opposition is also there. Because of this reason also we see that there are challenges, legal and social constraints are also there. Religious laws, societal norms are often discourage inter-religious unions, right? And we can mention about in this factors for intercaste marriages, why it is increasing. So we can mention all the government protection that is provided, and here also it is provided, but because there is this cultural shock and there are more differences, so because of this there is a barrier. Conclusion, we can provide that socio-economic parity can promote intercaste marriages. Interreligious marriages remain more difficult due to the religious and cultural factors that plays a very important role, and India is a culturally diverse country and religiously also, okay. Next question is, in dealing with socio-economic issues of development, what kind of collaboration between government, NGOs and private sector would be most productive? Understand the question. It is asking about the level, kind of collaboration between these bodies, government, NGOs and private sector, which would be most productive. What kind of collaboration would be most productive? So what we have to write is, we have to write about their roles, and in this question also we can provide very good example. Why? Because see, we are seeing that public private, sorry, okay. So why it is important providing example? Because we see every day there are so many initiatives that government take, and there is this PPP model also, public private partnership is also there, and because of the interference or collaboration with the industry partners, the private people, private players, what is happening? We are inviting more innovation, more entrepreneurship, right? So there is a different kind of culture that we are exploring now, and it will lead to a healthy kind of development. So introduction part, what we have to say is, addressing development issues require collaboration between various sector. So addressing these issues, development issues, we need collaboration from different players, and for that reason it is important. Now the roles of these three different bodies, what are the role? First is government. What role will government provide, or should government play, which will be most productive? So government can do what? It can provide policies, regulation and funding, right? This will be the best thing. NGOs offer grassroots level intervention, yes, and community outreach, and NGOs have a big role to play at grassroots level, right? Next is private sector. So it can contribute resource, technology, innovation. It can contribute through these methods. These are the roles that it will be playing. CSR initiative by private sector, very important. So we can give these kind of example. And then collaborative model would be what? PPP, joint effort in education, healthcare, infrastructure, we see defense also, right? Technology. Conclusion part, effective collaboration ensures sustainable and inclusive development outcome. So if this collaboration is effective, we will see a big change in our economy, in our country, which will be sustainable, which will be inclusive, okay? So this is how we should write this answer. Next question is, again, this is from art and culture. Okay, though the great Cholas are no more, yet their name is still remembered with great pride. Why? Because of their highest achievement in the domain of art and architecture. So, as I told you, they have asked about Pallavas also, and they have asked about Cholas also. So, Pallavas led to the starting of, they laid the foundation for the Dravidian temple architecture, and these Cholas were responsible to enhance the temple architecture of the South India. So the zenith, they reached, the temple architecture reached its zenith during the Cholas, okay, and Chola age is also known as golden age of South India. Yes or no? Tell me in the comment section. Okay, now the Chola dynasty, we can give a brief introduction about the Chola dynasty, that it was a dynasty which is renowned for its contribution. Okay, golden age of the South India is related to this period. Okay, now their achievement, very important, there are significant achievements are there related to this period. First is bronze sculpture, they were using lost wax technique. Tell me which other civilization used this lost wax technique in history. Okay, mastery in bronze casting, they were the masters in bronze casting, and the example that we see is Nataraja sculpture. Okay, next is architecture, Dravidian temples, the Vimanas, big huge temples. They were the people who were great builders. They built very big vimanas, they built good temples, big temples, and very strong also. So Dravidian temple, development of the distinctive South Indian temple architecture. Examples that we can give is Brihadeshwara temple. Giving example is very important. Structural innovation was also there, use of granite on a large scale. They used granite, and which led to what? Durable structures, massive structures. This led to massive structures. So because of this reason, they are known as great builders. And water management, not only the structures related to religion, but also to the water management, these canals, water tank. So these structures were also called great civil engineers, because of this reason that they made irrigation tanks and they made canals also. Cultural legacy is there, patronage that they provide. So patronage of Tamil literature and the spread of Tamil culture, not only in India but in Southeast Asia also, right? So these were the people who had foreign territories also under their control. They controlled the trade area of Indian Ocean, controlled the trade area, sea trade. Okay, conclusion part, what we can write is Chola's lasting influence is visible in modern day South India art, architecture and culture. So this is how we can write this answer, but giving example is very important if we are talking about very good points. Okay. Next question is, how far is it correct to say that First World War was fought essentially for the preservation of the balance of power? See, there were many factors that led to the First World War, but one of the significant factor was that the countries, the major powers, they wanted to preserve this balance of power, right? Because new countries were emerging, new countries, new powers like Germany. Germany was rising, yes. It had developed itself, technology was developing, there was this weapon race, yes. Okay, new technologies were there, and Britain wanted what? This hegemony. No, now the introduction part. So we can give introduction about the First World War, which is the 1914-1918 war. It was primarily triggered by the complex system of alliances. So one of the unique feature of World War was that there was unique alliances and a struggle for power among European nations. So alliances were there, and because of this alliances, what was happening? There was a struggle for power, preservation of balance of power was there, and in this we can mention other factors like there were different isms that came, isms like nationalism, militarism and imperialism. So there was this race for colonies, we have seen, race for colonies, which we call imperialism, right? They were expanding their empires, British Empire, yes. So rivalries were there, imperial rivalry. So colonies, competition for colonies And if colonies are there, resources are there, global influence is there, they are called powerful, they are called masters. And the Industrial Revolution of Britain, colonies helped in that in a significant way. Alliance system was there, so this also led to the First World War. Entangled alliances, if we talk about alliances, triple intent was there, and there was this triple alliance also. It also created tension. Then balance of power, European powers sought to maintain equilibrium, other nations were rising. So they also wanted a share, preventing any one nation from dominating the continent. And in conclusion, what we can say is, while the war was driven by multiple factors, there was this desire to preserve the balance of power, which played a key role in forming these alliances. And then when these alliances were formed, what happened was the First World War, and then the revenge from Germany started, and which again paved the way for the Second World War. So these are the events. Okay, next is what? How far was the very interesting and very predictable kind of question, because this Industrial Revolution and the degeneration, right? Industrialization of Britain and deindustrialization of India. So these topics are very, very important. So questions are coming from these topics. How far was the Industrial Revolution in England responsible for the decline of handicrafts and cottage industries in India? How far can we say that? So this is very true, very, very true, because the Industrial Revolution, what happened when England was industrializing? It transformed India's economy into a supplier of what? Raw materials and a receiver of finished goods, right? Finished goods by Britain. Okay, so India became a supplier of raw materials. So if it is supplying the raw materials, what industries need? Raw material. Raw material is their food, right? So if India does not have raw material, what will happen? Degeneration, right? Deindustrialization of India will happen. Okay. Introduction part, what we can write is, the Industrial Revolution in England, 18th-19th centuries, significantly impacted India's economy, because we were supplying the raw materials, we were supplying the labor, and leading to the decline of traditional industries. We have seen so many examples that the share that India had in the manufacturing, global manufacturing, the share that India had in global manufacturing was around 27% during 18th century, and it led to a decrease of, and then India's share was decreased and it remained at only 3% in the 19th century. So this was the data. This data we can provide in this answer. And second data that we can provide is cotton export. India's cotton export also declined because of the various policies devised by British. Okay. So export that India was doing, it was heavily charged. There were many duties, many custom duties were charged on the exports of India, and then the things, the imports that we were accepting from Britain, it had less charges. So because of these policies also, our cotton export declined. Okay. So how it impacted the Industrial Revolution of Britain impacted the Indian handicraft. So there are reasons British manufactured goods, because we were supplying the raw material, and then there was this machine made goods were there, which were cheaper, which were in bulk, because less time was being used, and then mass was produced. Okay. Undermined industry, India's artisanal industry, because it was India's things, India's clothes and other things were handmade, right? It was not machine made, so it took more time. It cannot match the speed of the machine. Second thing is what? Drain of wealth. Colonial policies prioritized British economic interest, leading to deindustrialization. There was this drain of wealth. Deindustrialization of India was there, and then unfavorable trade policies were there, and because of these reasons we see that there was decline in the cottage and handicrafts. what happened to cottage industries? So artisans and weavers were forced to abandon their trade due to lack of demand, and also there was this unemployment in many areas. People were leaving their places and going to other places. Conclusion part, what we can write is industrial revolution coupled with colonial exploitation policies played a central role in the decline of Indian handicrafts and cottage industry. Because of this reason, the policies that Britishers were devising, the exploitation, the kind of exploitation they were doing, because of this reason, we can say that it played a central role in the decline of the cottage industries and handicraft industries in India. Next question is the groundwater potential. This was also in news. Since 2 years, we see that groundwater is in news. There is this Niti Aayog report was also there related to groundwater in Punjab, Haryana and other green revolution areas. Whenever we talk about groundwater, green revolution becomes important. We should mention green revolution. Okay, green revolution areas, the areas where this was introduced. Okay, now the potential of the Gangetic Valley is on a serious decline. Why Gangetic Valley? Because Ganga, Brahmaputra are very important for India, is on a serious decline, it is saying. And how may it affect the food security of India? How may? Look at the words very carefully. How may it affect the food security of India? So there was this recently, there was one study conducted in Uttar Pradesh which said that if there is a decline in the groundwater potential, then there will be a direct correlation. There will be a correlation of the food scarcity also, direct relation between the groundwater depletion and food scarcity in India. So it was observed in the district of Uttar Pradesh. Now what we can write is, we can introduce it by saying that Gangetic Valley, Ganga, very important and is crucial for India's agriculture. Water is important and this belt is important, valley is important for agriculture, significantly to food grain production, and then groundwater depletion in the region poses a grave threat, because if there is no water, groundwater is not there, irrigation will be becoming very difficult. What impact will be there on agriculture? Now we can mention 3-4 factors. First factor being what? First impact being what? Water intensive crop. It will impact the water intensive crop, and then the farmers will be shifting their cropping pattern, right? Rice and wheat cultivation is they are heavily dependent on water, groundwater for irrigation. So this will be impacted and they will be switching. Farmers will be switching from rice and wheat because there is no water, right? Second is reduced crop yields will be there. If you need a good production, a good produce, you have to give good amount of water. Declining groundwater level will reduce water availability, which will lead to lower crop productivity. Okay, next is shift in cropping patterns. Okay, third factor, third impact, farmers, they may need to shift to less water intensive crops because water is not available, so they will not be able to grow, and then affecting the food supply chain. So because there is unavailability of water, unavailability of food crops, supply chain will be affected. So yes, it will be affecting the food security of India also, and implication of food security. Now what will be the implication of food security? Rural livelihoods, they will be disturbed, there will be unemployment, increased poverty will be there. So all things are interrelated. Food price inflation we will witness, which will affect the food security of India also if there is inflation. Conclusion part, what we can say is groundwater depletion poses a serious risk to India's food security. It is asking how may it affect? So it will be affecting in a huge way, in a significant way, and we need policy intervention for sustainable use of water. Next question is, very direct question, what are Aurora Australis and Aurora Borealis? How are these triggered? Simple and straightforward question, what are they, right? And then how are these triggered? The triggering factors for these things. So what are these? First of all, We will start the answer by writing the definition of auroras. What are auroras? Then we will go to the aurora australis and aurora borealis. Okay. First, auroras. Auroras are what? Natural light displays seen in the sky, primarily in high latitude regions. And this topic was also in news because it was observed in the sky, and this was in news, and because of this reason it has come and it was observed in India. Okay. And this was in newspaper. Okay. So auroras are natural lights, and then they are in high latitude region. So there is this observatory in Hanle, Ladakh. What is the name of that observatory? You tell me in the comment section. And it is a very significant observatory. And for what? What observation? Please write in the comment section. And then aurora. We will tell about the aurora borealis, which occurs in the northern hemisphere, and then aurora australis, which occurs in the southern hemisphere. So you should always, whenever there is a possibility, make micro diagrams, or you can make a figure also. Like if we want to show this aurora australis, we can make a diagram like this. Okay, this is an earth, and then we can show that this is aurora borealis and this is aurora australis. Okay, this is how we can show. These kind of small diagrams will also help. Now we will tell about the mechanisms, the triggering factor. So solar wind interaction. Auroras are caused when charged particles from the sun collide with gases in the Earth's atmosphere. So these are the factors. Magnetic field being also one of the reason. Earth's magnetic field direct these particles toward the pole, and excitation of gases also is the reason, triggering factors. Now colors and patterns. How the colors and patterns are there. So color depend on the type of gas. Oxygen produces green and red light, while nitrogen gives off blue and purple hues. So this is the proper aurora australis and borealis factors, how they are triggered. Conclusion part, we can say that it is a beautiful cosmic phenomena that results from the interaction of solar winds with Earth's magnetosphere. Now next question is, what is a twister? So other name for twister is what? Tornado, right? What is a twister? And second question, why are the majority of twisters observed in areas around the Gulf of Mexico? So two questions, two parts, there are two parts. What is a twister and why majority are observed in Gulf of Mexico? Okay. Introduction, we can define the twister or tornado. It is a rapidly rotating column of air that extends from a thunderstorm to the ground. Now formation, we can tell about the mechanism of twister, how it is formed. Thunderstorm development is there, wind shear is there, and then why twisters are majority are found around the Gulf of Mexico. What is so special? So geographical factors are there, tornado alley are there, okay, and the region from Texas to Nebraska, including parts of Gulf Coast, is called alley, tornado alley, due to the highest frequency of tornado, and factors, geographical factors are also responsible. Conclusion part, we can say that twisters are common around the Gulf of Mexico due to unique interaction of atmospheric condition, geography and warm ocean currents, which provide a favorable condition. So this is the perfect answer, not the perfect but yes, kind of model answer, and you can write it in your own language also. You can include more points also, but just be limited to these words that are mentioned. Next is what? What is regional disparity? How does it differ? How does it differ from diversity? How serious is the issue of regional disparity in India? So this question has come from this topic, regionalism. Yes, regionalism. So it is asking about regional disparity. What is regional disparity? Definition we have to tell, and then how does it differ from diversity? Disparity and diversity, both are very different terms. Disparity means this is kind of a negative thing, yes, and diversity is what? India is a rich diversity, India has a rich diversity. cultural diversity is there, linguistic diversity is there, which is a very unique and very different and good thing. Yes, diversity is very important and very good thing. Okay. Next is what? We can introduce that by the definition. We can write that regional disparity refers to what? Unequal levels of development, resources and opportunities. So it is inequality, disparity is there, socioeconomic disparity, regional disparity. Many reports also come that that say that the states in India, they have regional disparities, and because of that reason many states are performing good on some factors like infrastructure, education, GDP, but many states are not contributing to that level in GDP and also has not good level of education and job opportunities also. So these kind of reports are coming in the news. We can use these data in the questions like these, regional disparity, showing regional disparity. Now what are the causes? So we have told about the regional disparity. Now how does it differ from diversity? So difference we can tell, difference between regional disparity and diversity, this we have to mention. Okay, disparity we know, this is inequality, but what is diversity? Diversity means difference. So presence of different culture, different religion and different kind of tradition, right, languages. So this is diversity, which is very good. Okay, and then historical factors are there. What are the causes for disparity? So diverse geography, because we have different diverse geography is there, natural resources are also very different, climate is different, topography influence is there. So northeast region of India are very different from South India or North India. Yes, historical factors are also there. Colonial policies favored certain reasons. So it is also one of the reasons why disparity is there. Okay, and how serious is the issue? Is it being continued? Leaving others underdeveloped. Economic policies, industrialization and infrastructure development have been concentrated in certain areas and neglecting the other areas. So because of these also many states perform better in some criteria and many are left behind, including the northeast region. So that needs more attention and focus. And this disparity also leads to migration. Yes, because there are different opportunities are there in different states. So migration will be there. Okay. Now seriousness, what is the issue? What is the seriousness in India? Income inequality, it creates. Now we have told about the causes of disparity, right? Now seriousness, what is the impact in India? So it is leading to income inequality. Many reports are coming, and in which we see that many states are performing better and other states are not performing better. Their condition is not at all good, right? States like Maharashtra, Gujarat, they are economically advanced, while others, Bihar and Odisha, they are very behind. Social disparities, regional disparity result in unequal access to healthcare, education and employment. Migration issue is there, right? Because if people will not get good opportunities in their place, they will be moving out from their place and in search of better opportunities. So conclusion part, we can provide that regional disparity is a significant issue in India, which requires targeted policies to promote balanced development across all regions, right? And we can mention, we can give many data here like gender gap index data we can provide, right? There are different state ranks also, we can provide those ranks also. Next question is, despite comprehensive policies for equity and social justice, underprivileged section are not yet getting the full benefit of affirmative action envisaged by the Constitution. So this is not a direct question, but it is talking about the policies that are being devised for equity and social justice, right? So reservation and underprivileged section. So we know that social justice, underprivileged section, they are not the policies that are being devised. So we can give the example of the policies, the laws, the initiative which were devised for these people, underprivileged sections of society. but they are not getting the full benefit of affirmative action envisaged by the constitution. So we have to comment, we have to give example of the policies, and we have to give reasons why, the challenges, that why they are not yet able to get full benefit of the policies, challenges, and then end the question. So introduction would be what? Affirmative action. We can give example in the introduction part that these action aim to uplift socially and economically underprivileged section, okay, and ensuring equity and justice. And then we can discuss about the challenges in implementation. What are the challenges? Why it is not getting full benefit? So unequal access is there, right? Social stigma and discrimination is there, lack of awareness is there, okay, and then good governance we can include. Yes, lack of awareness, many groups are unaware of their rights and entitlement. Caste based discrimination is there, limiting the effectiveness of affirmative action. Policy gap is there, misuse of quota. Quota benefits often go to relatively better off group. Reservation issue is in news. Every time we see reservation is in news. Yes, so quota benefit. This we can quote. Monitoring and enforcement. Weak enforcement and inadequate monitoring dilute the impact of affirmative policy. If there is no monitoring, there is no enforcement, then it will be diluting the impact. The intention through which, the intention for which we have devised these policies, they will not be fulfilled. And we can conclude that while India has so many affirmative action policies, their full benefit will not be reaching its potential. Why? Because implementation challenge is there and there are systematic issues are there. So this is how we can write this answer, and we have to give example also. All the policies that we have made. Next, very interesting question. Globalization has increased urban migration. Urban migration, see migration. We have seen that this migration is coming, yes, everywhere. Globalization has increased urban migration by skilled young and married women. Two questions have come for women, right? What was the first question? Gender, what is this? Gender equity and women empowerment, right? Now second question is talking about that globalization has increased urban migration of what? Of women, unmarried women from various classes. This is also good. This is also, we can say that there will be limitations also, there will be benefits also, right? How has this trend impacted upon their personal freedom and relationship with family? So we have to tell about impact on family relation and their personal freedom. What is the impact on their personal freedom, right? And then introduce it by defining globalization. What is globalization? So globalization is what? Interconnectedness between economies, different economies, different societies. So simple definition of globalization we can provide and start this question, answering the question. So globalization is interconnectedness, interdependence of various communities, and if we witness a change in one part of the country, world, their impact will be all over the world. This is what is globalization. So it has increased urban migration. So there will be factors also which will be leading this urban migration. Why are unmarried women moving out of their areas? Because they are getting education. They are independent, right? They are highly skilled. So the question is itself telling the factors. They are skilled. They are part of demographic dividend. Unmarried women from various classes. There are so many opportunities, right? Okay, so we have introduced. Now what will be the impact? Some factors we can mention because they are getting good opportunities. They are skilled also, educated also. So this is leading to the migration, okay? They are empowered. Impact on personal freedom now we have to tell, because it is asking personal freedom and relationship with family, two factors. What will be the impact on them? Now economic independence will be there. So they are independent, economically independent. They are the decision makers now in the family, in the society. Migration to cities provide women with financial autonomy, greater decision making power, it is giving them a good status in the society and personal freedom also. Exposure to new ideas, urban life exposes women to diverse ideas and lifestyles, okay, and fostering individual growth and empowerment. So these topics we always cover in our current affairs class. So every Saturday we conduct a weekly current affair class, and every time these kind of important topics come, we always try to discuss these issues, because examples we'll be using whenever any data related to women comes, that should be included in your answer if there is a scope, okay. So data, different facts are very important, relevant. Now what will be the impact on family relation? Changing family dynamics. So this is changing the family dynamics. The gender roles are challenged as women prioritize careers, leading to conflict with conservative family expectations. So women are also prioritizing their career. So this is changing the gender roles. Greater autonomy is being given to women. They are enjoying distance from family, allows more freedom in personal choices like marriage, lifestyle. If they want to wear suit salwar, if they want to wear jeans, they can wear it. So more autonomy is with them. Conclusion is what urban migration offers women increased personal freedom, but also challenges the traditional family dynamics. So it requires a balance between individual aspiration and family expectation. So this is how we can conclude the answer. So women is very important. Yes. Question number 20 and the last question of today's live. Critically analyze. Now we have to give positives, pros and cons. The proposition that there is high correlation between India's cultural diversity and socio-economic marginalities. So counter argument also we have to give, that there is it is saying that analyze this proposition that there is a high correlation between cultural diversity, again diversity, disparity. Second time it is being repeated, yes or no? Cultural diversity, in the third last or fourth last question we discussed about diversity, right? So cultural diversity, because of cultural diversity, what is happening? Socio-economic marginalities. So are we leaving any section behind because of this diversity? Are there any marginal sections, socio-economic marginalities are there or not in the society? So we have to analyze this thing. So because India is a culturally rich, diverse country, so there are diversities, but there are positives also and negatives also, right? So introduction, India is known for its cultural diversity encompassing languages, diversity of language, diversity of religion, caste and ethnicities. But this diversity also is leading to socio-economic marginalization. 2-3 points we can provide with the correlation, and then what we'll be doing is we will be providing the counter argument. Okay, correlation. What is the correlation between diversity and marginality? So caste system, lower caste such as Dalit, Adivasi, they face social exclusion resulting in limited access to education, healthcare and employment. So this is a correlation between diversity and marginality. Linguistic and ethnic minorities, they also have an impact. Many linguistic and ethnic minorities, particularly in northeastern and tribal areas, because of the diversity, they suffer from underdevelopment and lack of political representation. Next is cultural isolation is also there because of this diversity. So diverse practices, languages often isolate certain communities from mainstream economic activities, and then this leads to marginalization. Now breaking the cycle. How can we break this cycle? Inclusive policies. So we have to devise, we can mention here northeast region also, right? Socio-economic marginalities, So, inclusive policies should be there, affirmative actions we have to take, and then reservation policies, economic schemes have to be devised in such a way that this will bridge the gap. Okay, and this marginalization will not be there. Now, conclusion, what we can do is, while India's cultural diversity is a strength, it should not lead to marginalization. This we can provide, and it also contributes to socio-economic marginalities. Addressing these disparities require a focused approach and inclusive approach. Then only it will be leading to inclusive development, and this marginalization will not be there. So, this is how we can write this answer. Okay. So, this is today's discussion about the GS paper 1 and mains paper 2. So, we have seen that what kind of questions have come, and please understand that reading newspaper becomes very important, and also making notes of the important news, of the data, of the reports that are coming. If we talk about groundwater depletion, this was in news since 2-3 years, this was in news, and important data were coming. And if we talk about women empowerment, inequity, if we talk about equity, if we talk about inequality, transgenders, and then if we talk about this migration. So, there are so many topics that are being discussed in the newspaper. This is why it becomes important to read newspaper every day, so that you have an opinion, and whenever these kind of questions come, you can write good answers and fetch good marks. So, this is our new course which is starting, new batch which is starting for PCM, prelims cum mains. So, admission has started, and you can join our batch starting from 30th September. Our new batch is starting from 30th September, and our ethics course is starting from 8th October. Okay. So, you can go through the channel, you can go to the website and check all the important notification, and if you want to clear the UPSC Civil Services examination, please remember these two things, that you have to know what you have to study, and you should know the syllabus first. Second thing, read newspaper every day, which is very important, very crucial. We have seen in prelims also that 50% of the topics that were coming in newspaper were asked in examination prelims, and mains also we see that society topics, history, geography all have a relation from current affair topics. So, this becomes very, very important. Our strategy, what should be the strategy, and how we should cover current affairs. So, Alchemy IAS provides current affair classes, weekly current affair classes every Saturday 10 AM to 12 PM. So, this is how we cover current affair, and it is a very important class. And then we have taken so many initiatives related to NCRTs also, this simple definition which are being asked in the examination, these are given in NCRTs. So, it becomes very important. What is a twister, what is a tornado, what is cloudburst. So, all these things are covered in NCRT. So, you can go through our Telegram channel, WhatsApp community is there, YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, share with anyone who you know is preparing for UPSC, and they are very dedicated and serious about UPSC preparation. So, Alchemy IAS is the place where you should enroll. And then we are starting our mentorship program also. So, if you want to prepare for UPSC, contact Alchemy IAS Institute. And thank you so much. We will be meeting in the next video for mains discussion 2024.